Welcome to this video from the Final Mind.
You know, there's a question that has haunted philosophers for literally thousands of years, but just recently, it's become something else entirely, a terrifyingly plausible scientific debate.
I mean, what if your memories, your feelings, the very world you see around you, what if it's all just nothing more than a highly advanced computer simulation?
70%. That's the probability that MIT scientist Rizwan Virk gives this idea. And no, this isn't science fiction we're talking about. This is a serious, credible estimate from a scientist at one of the world's leading tech institutions. And that number, it's growing.
Think about films like The Matrix. That whole concept is no longer just a thought experiment. With the incredible rise of generative AI, these things can create entire worlds from a single prompt. It's forcing us to confront a really uncomfortable possibility. What if someone, or something, already did it first?
So how did a fringe theory get so compelling? Well, it doesn't start with evidence. It starts with a piece of inescapable logic, a kind of philosophical trap that was laid back in 2003.
A philosopher named Nick Bostrom came up with what he called a trilemma. It's not really a theory, it's more of a logical framework that's almost impossible to escape from. He argued that one of the following three statements must be true.
First off, there's option one. Maybe almost all intelligent life in the universe just dies out before it gets powerful enough to create simulated realities. A grim thought, for sure, but a possible end to our own story. They call it the Great Filter.
Then there's option two. Maybe they reach that godlike technological power, but for some reason, maybe ethical, maybe religious, maybe something we can't even comprehend, they decide not to create simulations with conscious beings inside. They've got the power, but they just choose not to use it.
But here's the thing. If you doubt those first two options, if you think that at least one civilization, somewhere at some point, would both survive and decide to run simulations, well, then the conclusion becomes almost unavoidable, because they probably wouldn't run just one. They'd run billions of them. And that would make simulated universes vastly outnumber the single base reality. If that's the case, just statistically speaking, where are you more likely to be? Okay. Let's step away from pure logic for a second and talk about physics. Because what if there are clues, tiny, strange rules in the fabric of our universe that look less like nature and a lot more like code?
Think about the universe's ultimate speed limit. Why can't anything travel faster than the speed of light? The simulation hypothesis has a wild suggestion. It's not a physical barrier, it's a processing one. It's the ultimate clock speed of the computer our universe is running on. And it goes even deeper. At the smallest scales, our reality isn't smooth and continuous. It's pixelated. Matter and energy exist in these little discrete packets called quanta, a lot like the pixels on a screen, which suggests our world might just have a finite resolution.
And the clues just keep mounting. The weirdness of quantum mechanics, where particles only seem to pick a definite state when we observe them. Is that just the system saving processing power by only rendering what the player is looking at? Is gravity just some kind of cosmic data compression algorithm?
Now, when you're faced with all this, it can feel like the walls are closing in, but science might have found a way out, a really powerful counterargument, written not in physics, but in pure mathematics.
So, is there a robust scientific argument that can pull us back from this existential brink? For a long time, the answer was basically no. But a pretty recent argument has emerged, one that tries to find a way out of the maze.
The weapon used to fight this theory is a famous set of proofs from all the way back in 1931, Gödel's incompleteness theorems. To put it simply, they prove that in any complex formal system, like math, you can create statements that are true, but that you can't actually prove using the rules of that same system. It's a logical paradox that's just baked into the nature of reality itself.
And this right here is the crucial point. A research team led by Mir Faisal argued that since our universe contains these unprovable, non-algorithmic truths, it can't be fully described by computation. And if you can't compute it, well, then it can't be a computer simulation. And for a moment, there's this sense of relief, an escape. Or is it? Because here's the final, deepest part of the rabbit hole. Any proof we devise, any math we use, any logic we follow, all of it comes from inside the system. So what if our so-called unprovable truths are just coded into the simulation to make us believe it's real? And just like that, the trap snaps shut once more.
So, if we can't prove it or disprove it, we're left with the profound, very human questions that this idea forces us to confront.
I mean, are our choices actually our own? Or are we just following a pre-written script, with our struggles and our triumphs being nothing more than lines in an algorithm?
The creator of our universe might not be some divine being, but just a coder. Someone who could patch, update, or even delete our entire existence with a single keystroke.
Why be good? Why show compassion? If our pain and our joy are just information being processed, do they have any real meaning? I think the only possible answer has to be yes. Because to us, the inhabitants, the feeling is undeniably real.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. If we can never know for sure, does any of this actually change anything? You know, perhaps the most grounded answer is this. Whether our reality is the base one or just a simulation, our experiences are authentic to us. The love we feel, the connections we make, the meaning we create in our own lives, that is real. And maybe, in the end, that's the only reality that truly matters.
Thank you for watching. To view similar videos in future, do not forget to subscribe.